You know, in the United States, there's one single institution that writes the rules shaping pretty much every part of your life. We're talking the economy, the environment, your rights, your security, the whole shebang. That institution is the United States Congress, and in the next few minutes, we're going to break down how it all works. So let's just ask it plainly. Who really writes the rules for America? It sounds like a simple question, right? But the answer? Well, the answer is at the very heart of how this whole system of government is designed to work.
The answer, of course, is the nation's lawmakers, the U.S. Congress. As the legislative branch, it is their job, their whole reason for being, to make our laws. But it's not just one big group of people. It's what's called a bicameral body, which is just a fancy way of saying it's split into two chambers, the House of Representatives and the Senate.
And this map here gives us a fantastic snapshot of the political landscape, at least in the Senate. Every single state, no matter how big or small, gets two senators to represent its interests. So you end up with people from completely different parties and totally different parts of the country, all in one room, debating and drafting the laws that govern all of us. And the scope of that power it's just immense. We're not talking about small technical documents here. These laws are often historical turning points that have fundamentally changed the course of the nation. Let's look at just a few really powerful examples. Let's start by hopping in a time machine back to 1862. Congress passes the Homestead Act. This one law completely transformed the American West by offering up land for almost nothing, literally fueling the country's massive westward expansion. Okay, now let's flash forward to 1935. We're right in the middle of the Great Depression. Congress passes the Social Security Act. And just like that, it creates a national safety net for retirement, unemployment, and disability that still affects tens of millions of Americans every single day. Then you get to 1964 and, wow, a truly landmark piece of legislation, the Civil Rights Act. It made it illegal to discriminate based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. I mean, this was one of the most profound legal shifts in the nation's entire history. And for something in more recent memory, think about the USA Patriot Act of 2001. It was passed right after the September 11th attacks, and it dramatically expanded law enforcement's power to watch for and stop terrorism. A move that, as you know, is still debated to this day. So yeah, this kind of power is definitely not new. As you can see from this timeline, from the Judiciary Act back in 1789 that set up the whole court system, all the way to today, congressional action has been this constant driving force throughout American history. But to really feel the real-world impact of a single law, let's zoom way in on one specific and very powerful example, the Immigration Act of 1924. So here we have President Calvin Coolidge signing that bill into law. And this wasn't some minor tweak. This act, sometimes called the Johnson-Reed Act, was specifically designed to totally change the face of immigration by creating this very strict national origins quota system. And the intent behind it? Well, they weren't exactly hiding it. According to the State Department's own Office of the Historian, the stated goal was, and I'm quoting here, to preserve the ideal of American homogeneity. The whole point was to severely limit immigrants from Southern and Eastern Europe and instead favor those from Northwestern Europe. And the results? They were immediate and they were dramatic. Just look at these charts showing the before and after. See that red portion? That's immigration from Northwestern Europe. It skyrockets. Now look at the blue portion. Southern and Eastern Europe, it absolutely plummets. And to really put a fine point on it, get this. Immigration from Italy alone fell by over 90%. Think about that. That one number shows you the incredible power a single act of Congress can have, not just on millions of individual lives, but on the very makeup of the nation itself. So, okay, we've seen what Congress does, but who are the people actually wielding all this immense power? Let's take a look at a fascinating snapshot of the individuals who represent America. Let's start with longevity. Some members of Congress serve for decades, becoming these incredibly powerful fixtures in Washington. The all-time record for service in the House? That belongs to John Dingell from Michigan. He was in office for an unbelievable 59 years. And he was not an outlier. As of late 2015, you had people like John Conyers, Charles Rangel, and Thad Cochran who had all served for more than 4 decades. That is a staggering amount of accumulated experience and, let's be honest, influence over how laws get made. All right, so that's time in office. Now let's switch gears and look at another metric, wealth. The financial situation in Congress is, let's say it's distinct. Back in 2014, the single wealthiest member was Representative Darrell Issa, with an estimated net worth of over $357 million. And he was far from the only one. This data from 2014 shows the top 4 wealthiest members from both parties, all with net worths over $100 million. The takeaway here really is that the people writing the rules for the country are often not only serving for a very long time, but they're also operating in a financial reality that is just worlds away from that of the average American.
So, what does all this mean for you? How does an average person even begin to connect with such a powerful and frankly complex institution? Well, that brings us to our final and maybe most practical piece of the puzzle.
And here it is, the first step to making that connection. Every single person in the United States has a representative in the House, and tools like the House's own website make finding them incredibly easy. You literally just type in your zip code, and bam, there's your direct link to Congress. Which brings us to our final and I think most important question. The power to write the rules might be in Congress, but the power to choose and influence those representatives, that begins with you. So, now that you know who they are and what they do, what will you say?